Well, hello and welcome to the Adobe Abode. My name is Callie, and today I thought I would start a little series on a junk journal idea that I have. I thought I would share a little of the details about the idea and some of the supplies that I'm going to use to accomplish this. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a psalm book, or otherwise known as a Psalter. Now, I have a very specific purpose in mind for this. It's kind of an idea that I had sort of watching some stuff on YouTube about the prayer Bibles, and then being a junk journaler. It's kind of the two ideas coming together. So I have this poor journal. I need to put the book plate back on it. This is a journal that I've used as a prayer book, and it's not too dissimilar sort of from, it's kind of my style, but I wanted something a little different. I have this pile of stuff here, and I thought I would explain the plan. So this would be kind of a standard size junk journal to most of us. So it's, about 9-ish by about 6-ish. It's a little bigger than that. Now this Psalter that I'm going to make is, I'm going to use this book. And you can see this book is just a little bigger than sort of the standard size junk journal. So this is 9 5/8 ish, and really measuring the book board itself, a little over 7 inches wide. So this is a little bigger. It's going to actually feel a lot bigger whenever it's finished, because I'm going to cut out this entire spine. I already know for this purpose that this spine isn't nearly wide enough, and so really what I'm using from this is going to just be the book board. I'm basically just going to cut the book board off of it and build my own spine. I have some chipboard here that I'm going to use for that purpose. It's nice heavy chipboard, which will work well for that. So that's going to be the basic size. Now, I say the basic size. I still don't know for sure how wide the spine is going to be on this until I get the signatures built. Okay, so let's talk about the signatures and what I have in mind there. Okay, that's some stuff I'll talk about in a minute. Now, signatures. What I would like to have is alternating pages of dot grid. I don't know if you can see this. This is dot grid stuff. Now, where I got this from is one of these. Oops. One of these. Now, these are really great for this project because these, well, first of all, these cost like $1 or $2 at Walmart. Sometimes you can get them that way. And they're sewn in. Now, what I like about this is they're sewn in, so you can cut the threads and pull out these sheets like this. Now, this is where it gets a little complicated with the way I want the signatures, and I did all the math, and I'll kind of explain what I'm talking about. I have a bunch of these that I've already distressed. I coffee dyed them, and a few of them I painted, which I want to show you a painting technique that I really like. It's kind of a distressing and painting technique that I do, and I'll show that probably in another video. But basically I'm starting with this dot grid because I want some of my pages, really every other page in this journal, to be dot grid. I want to be able to write the Psalms, and what I want is to have dot grid on one page, and then on the facing page probably mostly just plain paper, or I will have some background paper, which I'll get to. So I had to do some thinking here because eventually this psalm is going to have all 150 psalms from the Bible written in it, and the idea is to have sort of one sheet of dot grid, another sheet on the opposing page that'll be kind of plain or background paper that will be sort of for distilled Bible notes and also for writing prayer notes. And so that's the general idea, is this will have a psalm and then this will have sort of space for notes, that kind of a thing. So in thinking this out, now this is part of why this is going to be such a monster. The other thing about this particular like composition book size, because these are attached, I don't have to hinge this paper, and I also typically in a normal junk journal style like this, what this is regular 8.5 by 11 sheets folded this way to make pages that fit correctly. And that's typically the way we do it in junk journaling because it makes sense, it's easy. But in this case, because I'm going with a book that's a little bit bigger, then what that means is I either need paper that's going to come pretty close to fitting, which this does. I will be trimming this down a little. It comes pretty close to fitting, but then it's also already hinged. So, you know, if I were to take this piece of paper and fold it, then I'm still ending up with paper that's too small. Now, I coffee dyed a bunch, and that is all of this. These are all that same composition book paper after it's been coffee dyed, and I actually ironed this stuff so that it would lay a little flatter. So now, in order to have enough sheets to write out the Psalms, I did the math on this, and what I ended up with is a total of 45 of these leaves. Okay, I'm calling this a leaf because it's actually 4 pages. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pages in a journal. So I have 45 of these. Well, 45 times 4 gets me 180 sheets, 180 pages in the journal. And there are 150 Psalms. Now, some Psalms are shorter than others, and some are like Psalm 119 that has 176 verses, and so I'm definitely going to need some extra. So if I say there's 150 Psalms and I have 150 sheets plus another 30, I think that gives me some room there. Now that's just for the Psalms. That is not the opposing pages. And so you can see that this is going to be a chunky journal. Now, in addition to these, I have also coffee dyed some regular paper. Ooh, that one's dark and pretty. And some other sheets. I will explain this. just coffee dyed some sort of like, you know, what you might call like blank, just copy paper. And what's going to end up happening with this, so I did that. Then I have, this is scrapbook paper that I just chose. You know, just from 12 by 12 paper pads. I chose some. I need more. And of course these are obviously way too big. But we're not finished. Now, I've got these, and what I'm going to need to do with a lot of this is hinge it. So I'm going to need to glue these or sew these. I will do a combination of both. Each signature will be built that way so that I have dot grid, blank, blank, dot grid. So what I need is, as I said, 45 of these dot grid sheets, which I've already got those kind of prepped. Then I need 45 other sort of blank or background pages that are hinged. So I'm compiling stuff for that. Now, what I did was I printed out some stuff and then I coffee dyed it, kind of knowing that it's going to fade out a lot of the images, and sort of being okay with that. And I'll show where these came from, or kind of what these are. These were obviously next to each other in the coffee dye. And of course what I do is I'll make some coffee dye and put some baking soda in it to eliminate that acid. There are tons of videos on coffee and tea dyeing paper on YouTube. And so I've got some of this stuff that bled over onto other pages, kind of like that. Now, some of my other stuff, I printed these out, and as I said, the coffee dye really kind of ruined them as far as being able to read them. But what I did is I printed out a couple of copies of this stuff, and I'll show you what this stuff is. So I have all this stuff. So that's some of my stuff that I'm compiling to make my pages. Now, what those are before they were coffee dyed are these, and I'll kind of just flip through these. I got onto Wikimedia. Okay, if you go in there and you find, you'll find stuff that's what's the word I'm looking for? Open source or copyright free. Some of this stuff is actual JPEGs, photographs of actual manuscripts dating back very old of the Psalms. If you search on Wikimedia, you can find stuff like that that you really like. What I'm really going to do with this stuff is actually use it as background. And, you know, I just printed it out. You could be so much more particular about this and, you know, of course, improve the image quality. You could do a lot with this. What I prefer to do, because this is going to be background paper, just print it out, even if it's a little pixelated, unclear, all of that. It's got these margins we got to deal with. All of that we're going to deal with. But really what I kind of want is just this general background thing. And some of these come from very old Psalters. And because this is a Psalter, that kind of makes sense to me. I'm not even sure what language that is. There was Syriac, there was Latin, there was Greek, there was Hebrew, a bunch of different stuff in there. That's Latin. So you can see some of these were not necessarily Psalter images, but some of this stuff That's some German music. So that's where I got a lot of this. And you know, some of the stuff really cracks me up. You know, we, in our modern times, we think that we, that like, sort of Bible note-taking and, you know, making massive notes in your journaling Bible is a new thing. That's why they left such big margins, so that the scribes could make notes and, you know, I mean, this is like verse mapping here from like the whatever century this was. Like I said, some of this went back, even back to the 6th century. I don't think this piece necessarily was that old, but this is Hebrew. But some really pretty stuff, and so I want this stuff as background paper. And you can see where I've took, you know, this same, a copy of this and coffee dyed it, and it's kind of, you know, distressed. I'm going to distress this stuff, but I'm going to do it in a little different way, and I'll show that. Yeah, German Psalter. And you can really see that it's like the text and then like study notes. Kind of like, you know, a modern study Bible, but anyways, I thought they were very cool. And I thought they would make great background pages for this junk journal. That's kind of cool. What I'm going to end up with in signatures is 9 signatures of 10 pages each, or 10 leaves each. And so right now I'm trying to compile everything I need to start hinging them. And so the next step is to kind of decorate some of this and get some of this distress that I haven't done yet.